Hello, 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 hello. Let me just quickly type this out. Welcome. Let me do this. Hi, Sam. Welcome to our IG live conversation with Batho. Mokiti. Awesome. Okay, cool. Hello, hello, everyone. I hope everyone is excited. I am. All right, let me just request Batho to join. Everybody's doing well. It's quite cold here in Cape Town. So we're just keeping a bit warm on this side.
Hello.
Just waiting for... Hi.
How are you?
I'm cold. I'm just trying to
I
keep
know.
warm now, like winter.
I'm just you know what? I'm going to grab my scarf because it's really cold.
Yeah. It is freezing. Winter has officially arrived. So it's about that time we
It
wrap
is.
up and
Well, we can warm things up, I guess.
yes, we are here. We're gonna add the spice that's needed. I'm excited for this conversation. Let me just quickly do a quick intro for our guests who are joining in before I introduce the phenomenal woman that you are. So hello, everybody. Welcome to today's IG Live. My name is Khalipha Ntloko, and I am a Women Esteem Committee member for 2020. And today is a very, very exciting conversation that we're going to have with Mmabatho Mokiti. To quickly introduce who she is, so Mmabatho is a mathematician turned impact entrepreneur with a passion for education and youth development. She began her career as an entrepreneur at the age of 20, I believe, while you were studying your BSc in Mathematics. Wow. Wow. um, and I mean, from there, you've just gone on to achieve some incredible things, including, advising, designing, implementing projects for the UK, US, and Canadian government on development work in Africa. Batho has also received some incredible awards and accolades. She's been a Mail and Guardian Top 200 Young South African in 2013, a recognized WEF Global Shaper, one of the top 50 inspiring women in STEM by the Embassy of the Netherlands. I mean, you've done some incredible things, and I just want to say thank you for breaking glass ceilings. Thank you for being such an incredible woman for us to look up to, especially in STEM. We are changing the narrative. We're doing things, and you're doing things, and I'm just my heart is just pumping custard. So thank you for joining us today. I can't wait. I can't wait to join and get into this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to just have our conversation today. Yeah, what a great way to just also just sort of wrap up the week, isn't it?
Yes, yes. This week has just been an interesting one across the globe, in our country. But I think this conversation is really just going to be something where we really can look back and just say, hey, look, there's opportunities out there within the maths field. You are an example of someone who's doing incredible things. So I hope this inspires, it motivates someone out there. So without further ado, let's jump into it. First off, let me just ask, how are you doing? Like, how are you?
I'm really well, I must say, really well, in good spirits, positive spirits. Have taken the pandemic and the lockdown as a positive to really plan, re-strategize, relax, take some time out just working on the business and not in it. And it's been an incredible time, I think we take it for granted how we don't do work on ourselves because we're so caught up in everyday life. And this time is really a time for everyone to take time out to work on themselves and do work on themselves because we want to walk out of this pandemic stronger than ever and better than ever.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And are you also like working from home right
Yep.
now?
Yeah, I am working from home. So I genuinely do work from home most times because I travel a lot as
Mm.
well. So this is the first time in I think I was calculating the other day, I think 7 years that I've been home for this long. The longest I've ever been home in
Ooh.
7 years was 2 weeks, and this is the longest I've been home. So
Ah,
it's been quite nice to just like you know uh, get reacquainted with my bed again, and
yes.
spend time at home with my mom and everything. But I do travel a lot, so hence it's really like I have a mobile office.
Nice, nice. Oh, that's glad. Like, I'm glad to hear that you've adjusted well. You're enjoying the perks of being at home, breakfast in bed, Zoom meetings and PJs and blankets.
So good, and I think also family time more than anything has been just phenomenal. Getting spoiled by chef
Mm.
mom, that's always a bonus.
Yes, yes, amazing, amazing. So, Batho, to kick off the conversation, out of all the careers that you could have chosen for yourself, what was it about mathematics that stood out for you?
It's actually quite funny because I went into varsity not thinking I was going to study a maths degree, right? So I've always been in love with
Mm.
numbers. It's always been a thing for me, and I think as a child I've always just been good at maths, and I didn't know
Mm.
that I was good. I have an older
Mm.
brother who's 7 years older than I am, and who was also quite academically inclined, and he went on to study a
Mm.
BSc Maths and Geology. So what happened is that because my brother and I had a huge age gap, when I was in primary school, he was in high school already. So he was teaching me high school
Mm.
math when I was in primary school. And then when I got to high school, he was in varsity already. And so he was teaching me how to do varsity math because we'd sit together and I'd watch his stuff and he'd be like, oh, come let me show you how to do calculus, this is how it works and stuff. And so, I got interested in it and I was like, okay, this is nice. I could do this. Okay, I like this. And I think it took me a while to actually just sort of grow into myself and really accept that I was good at it, right? Because everyone I knew was like, oh, math sucks, hate maths, so you kind of it kind of and be like, oh, but this was a nice one. So I always
Mm.
did math. I've always loved it. I collected numbers as a child. So when my friends were collecting
Mm.
stamps, stickers, whatever it may be, I collected numbers. I had a little book and I'd write any numbers I'd come across. So it would be phone numbers, house numbers, anything you can think of, barcodes. I'd write it down, right?
Mm.
By the time high school finished, I was so determined that because I loved chemistry. I was like, oh, I want to be a chemical engineer. So I got into varsity, and in my first year, I really just did so well in maths, right? And I've just started thinking, actually, I like maths and I do chemistry. And I had a couple of reasons for that. Chemistry, I enjoyed, but I didn't like being in a lab coat in a lab the whole time. So I'm a different kind of
Yes.
dressing up, and I'm the kind of person like you have to see what I'm wearing. So for me, being in a coat all day just didn't resonate with me, and it didn't make me happy. And I think that was the first step to me just owning my own power. And somebody else may think that's
Mm.
silly for one to just quit a career because they're in a lab coat. But I immediately knew that I wanted to be around people, right? And I didn't want to be stuck in a
Mm.
lab analyzing, testing, etc., and in a lab coat. And that wasn't my personality. So in my second year, I then
Mm.
switched to majoring in maths, and I really just loved it. I enjoyed every moment of it, and I'm glad that I followed my heart, and that's where it led me.
Nice, nice. That's amazing. And I mean, it's so great to see that like you already knew who you were at high school level and you knew and you had a determination of this is my personality and putting me in a lab coat is just not who I am and I'm not going to put myself in this box. I'm going to go with who I am. And I mean,
Spot,
wow.
spot on, spot on. I remember in matric, I had to do like one of those. I don't know, it's an IQ career test sort of thing. So
Yes.
my mom enrolled me for one of those, and I'm actually quite grateful that she did that. And when my test came out, and it showed, which careers I'd possibly go into, it said engineering
Mm.
or maths. And it was engineering, maths, or computer science. It was all in the sciences, whatever the case was, all in STEM. And it was so spot on, because I went from engineering
Wow.
into maths, and my career in maths has led me into technology and all the other spaces, right? So for me, it
Yes.
was really empowering for her to take that decision to make me do it. and pay the money for me to do it, because it was so spot on, and it's always
Mm,
something I refer back to, that it told me so much about my personality and what I enjoyed doing and what I didn't enjoy doing, which was theory. And so I would have never
mm,
gone into a history degree or BA or anything like that, because not that I have anything against it, but I hate
yeah,
theory.
yeah. It's not who you are. It's not who you
No,
are.
it's not who I am.
Wow. Amazing. No, that's amazing. And I think the fact that you have that affirmation like from your family, like your brother was already teaching you like higher level mathematics. Your mom was so supportive and encouraging and seeing that like this is a passion of yours. That's amazing that you already at such a young age were surrounded by people who saw what you loved and allowed you to thrive. And now here you are thriving and flourishing. Yay.
I mean,
Now,
oh no, you go ahead.
okay, cool. So I just wanted to ask also, because I know like mathematics, like I remember back in high school in my maths class, it was predominantly guys. It was a heavily male dominated class back in high school. Even science, it was predominated by guys. What were some of like the barriers to entry that you encountered and experienced as you saw yourself in the mathematics field?
I mean, I remember when I first got into my class around my first year, a guy asked me and said, "Do you think you're going to survive here?" And I said, "Yes." And he was like, "Oh, looking like that." And for me, I was like, "Looking like what?" And I think, if anything, I do thank him, because he put that fuel into my fire. Because then not only was I
Mm,
determined to do well, but I wanted to prove a point to him that yes, I'm a woman. Yes, I'm pretty. Yes, but he forced me into a box, and I wasn't going to allow him to box
mm,
me, right? Because I'm one of a kind. And so for me, that was the fuel in my fire. And it is true, STEM is very male dominated. I
mm,
come across it even at work now, where people still look twice when you say, "Oh, I'm a mathematician." Like, "Oh, really?" In fact, just last week, there was a conversation happening on email with
mm,
myself, and my business partner was introducing me to another associate, and this guy said to me, "Oh, maybe we should get your BE partner to get on board." And my business partner quickly responded and said, "No, actually, Batho is not our BE partner, because she's actually very well experienced and very smart. She's a mathematician, she's run
yeah.
businesses, she's done this." And so it's still a notion that still exists, right? And for me also, we also have to remember that being female and black is, we have to work twice as hard than anybody, right? So here I
Mhm.
am, I'm a
Yeah.
female in a male dominated classroom, but I'm also black, right? So I need to actually work twice as hard as anyone else in my class, because I've got to fight those double stereotypes. Only that I'm black,
Mm,
but also because I'm female. So it really
mm,
wasn't easy, but I really just kept hanging on to my dream, that this is what I wanted, this is where I knew I wanted to be. And for me, I knew that I wanted to change the narrative, and I wanted to change the space. That if it took me to get into a class like that and open doors for more young women and more people of color, then let it be, then I should be used in that
yeah.
space. And I think that's just the phenomenon I work with. That every day, my prayer every day when I wake up is really to say to God, use me in all ways possible. And this was a way for me to get used.
Mm. Oh, yes. Um, Tell me, like, do you see one day eventually, like those stereotypes eventually just falling away, where that double standard, that double-edged sword of black woman finally like being at the same level as everyone else who's white and who's non-white? Like, do you see us eventually being equal?
I mean, the optimistic person in me would like to say yes, but we have a long way to go till we get there, right? And I'd love us
Mhm.
to live in that nation. I'd love to know that the next generations to come can actually enjoy the privileges that both males uh, uh, enjoy, or
Mhm.
that people of non-color or white people enjoy, right? I'd love to live in that kind
Mhm.
of world. But I know that we still have a long way to go. And right now, our fight as the women in this sector is to fight for the generation to come, is to ensure that we open more doors for that generation, to ensure that they don't have to go through what we have to go through. And that's really been my thing, that
Mhm.
I'd love to know that another female doesn't have to go through what I went through in the career in this career or this industry. And I'd love to know that another black girl doesn't have to go through what I went through, right? Because then I fought for that. And so that's what we need to do every single day when we do anything in any career, is to really ensure that the next generation gets to benefit from those from our hard work and our fights, right?
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Now tell me, so you started this tutoring company at the age of 20. I was just trying to figure out how I was going to pass my first exam in first year at the age of 20, but here you are already deciding you're going to start this tutoring company. What were some of the things that influenced your decision to become an entrepreneur at that age?
Money. So I've always loved money.
Mm.
Anyone in my family will tell you I've always loved money. Even as a child, whenever it was my birthday and like my family would ask me, my aunts and uncles would be like, "Oh, what do you want for your birthday?" I'd be like, "No, don't buy me anything. Please give me the money." That was just me.
Yeah.
And so for me, money motivated me. In fact, what happened is that when I got into varsity, my mom bought me like a car, a little, skodonk, and that was my car. But she had made it so clear to me that she said that she's only going to give me petrol money to get to school. Where I
Mm.
go over the weekends is not her problem. How I get there
Mm.
is not her problem. So I quickly thought, okay, a girl's gonna get a job then, because I still want to have a social life. I want to be able to drive and see my friends on the weekend. And that's really what I did. So I remember one day I was walking to the maths department at varsity, and I saw, at the faculties, what they do, they have this a notice board, right? And they had an ad there to
Yeah.
be at a private at a tutoring company, and I was like, okay,
Mm.
oh, on my side of the world, oh, let me give it a shot. So I called up and I applied for the job, got interviewed, and I got the job, right? And that's how really
Mm.
at that point I wasn't even in love with education, so this was just me trying to get money for the weekends. But as soon as I got into it, I started thriving in the job. I loved it, and for me, maths has always been like a love language. And for me to be able
Mm.
to share this language with other people, young people, was just so amazing. So I started enjoying it. And what the manager saw in me that I didn't was that I had a lot of business knack.
Mm.
Within a couple of months, she could take time off, which she'd never been able to do in years, and just leave me in charge,
Mm.
because I knew how to get things done. I started drawing up processes for her and saying, "Oh, we should do this and this and that. It's easier. We could then be more productive doing that." And she was just blown away by just my business acumen. And so that's when I started
Mm.
thinking, "Hey, what? I've always loved business because I'm a third generation entrepreneur. My grandfather was an entrepreneur, and
Mm.
so was my dad. So for me, I was like, okay, this this could work. So I could really take my love for education and my love for business
Mm.
and put them together, right? And I could start a business. And that's really how I got into tutoring. So in 2000, and I'm just trying to figure out the year. Whew, time goes fast. But anyways, that year on my 20th, um, that year, I decided that, okay, you know what? By the end of the school year, I'd hand in my resignation to my manager, and I'd actually just go about it on my own way. So I did. I handed in
Mm.
my resignation. She wasn't happy, and then I told her, I kind of want to explore tutoring, but in a different way, because this was
Mm.
tutoring in a center, so the kids would have to come to that center and be tutored. And for me, I kind of
Mm.
started seeing the gaps in the market where a lot of kids were canceling their sessions because they had sports or they couldn't get their parents to drop them off, or whatever reason they had. And I thought, how about we bring
Mm.
this to them? So instead of their parents thinking of dropping them off at a center, um, the tutors could go to them. And that's what I did. That year, I took my final salary, and I took 500 rand. I
Mm.
registered my actually, now I remember, because I still have the registration document.
No, it's all good. All good.
I had a call. So it was 2011. So I took that 500 rand, I registered my business,
Mm.
and that's how Mathemanics was born. So in the following year, I
Mm.
started the first tutor. I was a tutor. I was the everything. I drive around to all my students in my car. I bought also my first set of textbooks because I needed them as resources for the business. And I drove around to all the students. And I remember I started off with 2 students, only because one was my
Mm.
mom's friend's daughter and the other was her friend. So when she started doing, her friends started joining. So I had two students, and they started doing well. They referred me to more and more people. After I'd left that my old job, people got in touch with me privately to say, "Hey, we see that you've left your job. Where are you now?" And I said, "Oh, I started my own thing." So then they asked me to come in and tutor them privately, and so it grew. I grew from like two students to 10 to 20, and at some point I thought, you know what, I can't do this all on my own. I've got to start expanding. So I started hiring other university students from my university, all the other surrounding university in Gauteng, and really I'd be sitting in class and making money while sitting in class because I'd pay them half of the fee and I'd get the other half. And for me, as a 20-year-old, being able to make that much money while sitting in a class and still pursuing my studies was brilliant.
Mm. Mm. And so how did you like balance being a student and being this new entrepreneur?
I just did, it wasn't easy. The first few, I must say, like the first
Mm.
few months in the year was very difficult, right? Because I'd have to study and I'd also have to like look at tutor schedules and see what was happening, how things were happening. And I must say I come from a great family where I did entail like the help of my family members to just help me manage things. But at that point I really knew that this was my exit, right? And so I had to prove it
Yeah.
to my mom that this was my exit because um I knew that she expected me to go into a cushy corporate job after graduation. And
Mm.
this was my way. I was planning on telling her that I wasn't going to go into a cushy corporate job. I was actually going to go into business. And so it was, I guess at the same time, I was trying to balance that, but also kind of show my mom the bigger picture.
Yes. Oh, amazing, amazing. So you also have the NPO Dream Girls Academy. Tell us more about Dream Girls and why you started it and the passion you have behind Dream Girls Academy.
So, Dream Girls Academy is a nonprofit that I started with nine friends in our 20s about 10
Mm.
years ago. And well, now at the moment, I run it with my two best friends, who we are the three remaining founders of it. And really,
Mm.
it's a female empowerment organization. We and how it came about, really, I have to tell you a story about this. That my friends and I all are all from like township backgrounds, right? And we saw
Mhm.
what education had done for us and how it had empowered us to get more opportunity and get access to more opportunities. That we thought that
Mm.
it would be great for us to give that gift to another girl.
Mm.
So I grew up in Soweto, and I really was fortunate to go to great schools, but many of the girls that I grew up with, or my friends, didn't get that same opportunity. So when we got
Mm.
together, we all had that common thread, that love that we wanted to give back to other girls because we wanted to give them the gift of education. And so that's what we
Yeah.
did, really. We set up a mentoring program 10 years ago, which really we adopted young girls in grade 11 and grade 12. And we paired them up with professional young women. But in the first year, we were the mentors. So all 10 of us were mentors. And our first school was a school in Yeovil. We had 30 girls, and we each had three girls each to mentor, right?
Mm.
And that's how it started. We funded it for the first 5 years or so. We funded it out of our own pockets. So we were young girls in our 20s when our friends were out having fun and partying with their salaries. We were taking a portion of our salaries and putting it into a kitty so that we could run this program
Mm.
and educate young girls. And it was, and I mean, back then it seemed normal. But every time I talk about it, I think back, and even when we talk about it with my friends, we actually like, geez, like we were a different breed of young girls. But I think that there's a lot of young women like this. And that's why we wanted to set up
Mm.
Dream Girls. A lot of women want to give back, but they just don't have the structure or they just don't have the time to set up their own nonprofit. So for us, we thought, why don't we set up the organization and they could then serve through our organization. We'd have everything set up.
Mm.
We have a curriculum. We've had structures. We've got the funding. We had everything. All they needed to do is really come in and give off their time. So over the time, really, we've done
Mm.
a lot of programs in female tutoring, whether it be in high school, in the varsity space where we got young graduates to be mentored by partners and CEOs in big corporates and big firms, and that could be their entry into into really corporate life because we all know how difficult it is to get into corporate, and the varsity doesn't teach us some of those things, right? But if you have a big sister holding your hand through it, then it becomes easier. And for me, I think more than
Yeah.
anything else, it was really that we wanted more black girls to be educated because just the history of this country and where we come from. We know how the disparities are and how the differences are. And we took it upon
Mm.
ourselves to see how can we educate more young girls. And, to date, we've educated over 3,000 young Black girls around the country. A lot of them are now out of varsity and they've come back to serve with us, and they're ready. And I'm talking about accountants, lawyers, scientists, anything you can imagine. They've come back, and it's really been so good to know that it's quite funny because they call me mom. I say, call Mmabatho, Mmabatho, and it's quite funny because I'm like, oh, I don't have kids, and I'm in my face. But I do really take them like my kids because I understand. I've walked the journey with them from when we were in high school, and they really were struggling to just find their feet. With some of them had very dysfunctional families, or very dysfunctional backgrounds, and just having to just help them through that phase in their lives, and then help them to get into varsity, help them to apply into varsity. And I mean, I've taken a lot of kids to driven them personally to on their first day into varsity, and help them just get ready and all of that, and walking through the journey of varsity with them, and just telling them it's going to be okay, don't give up, this is your dream. And to see them now as graduates being able to then also take their siblings to school, which means that by just educating them, we've been able to break the cycle of poverty in that family.
Wow. 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 Oh my goodness. So maybe if for anybody who's watching and joining, and who might be interested in being a part of Dream Girls Academy, like what do they need to do?
So Dream Girls Academy, around about every end of the year, we open up applications for mentors to apply. It's online applications, and they need to also attach things like their CV, their certificate, their CVs, any references. It's almost like applying for an MBA. It's really it's a rigorous process. Just to give you an example, one year we had over 1,800 applications for Joburg alone, and we only choose 20 mentors. But we had 1,800 applications for Joburg alone. So we choose 20 mentors and 20 mentees. It's a one-on-one mentoring relationship, and it's really that's how we structure it. They get to apply online, and they get to really submit their CVs, a reference letter, tell us why they want to be part of this, why they want to give back. And it's been so amazing to just see so many women who want to give back. It really gives me hope for the future, that our future is really looking bright as a not only as a country but as a continent, because there's so many women who want to give back. And that's just the nature of women, isn't it? That as we go up, we always need to pull somebody up on our way out.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I hope whoever was watching, you heard, you listened, apply online. Make sure that you are part of the 2,000 people who will apply at the end of the year. I'm sure like there's going to be so many people who want to give back, like you said, because it's in our nature. It's what we want to do. So there we go. That's the info for anybody who was watching. Now, speaking on technology, it's always evolving, and it just keeps evolving and growing. And it's now just become a part of our daily lives and in society. Getting news on Twitter, updating people that we got married on Facebook. What does the future of mathematics look like for you?
And I mean, I told you earlier, mathematics, I think people should start seeing it as another language. Everything revolves around mathematics, And I have so many times, I have kids and even adults who ask me like, oh, what do you do with mathematics? So do you crunch numbers every day? I'm like, no, I don't crunch numbers every day. But what math has done for me personally is that it's given me an analytical brain. And how I process data is very different from how everyone else processes data. And I've seen that. Where others see a problem, I always see a solution. I'm a solutions person. I'm a problem solver to the T. So I'm always trying to piece the puzzles together and come up with a solution, right? So I think the future of mathematics is very bright. And I'll give an example. Just recently, last week, I was watching the news, and they had a math professor on there just talking about how they have come up with a mathematical model for the COVID virus to predict infection rate. That's all math. That's all math. So everything that we see around us, how we predict anything, how we predict the future of the economy, the interest rate, anything like that, anything that comes with any future analysis is mathematics, Technology, for instance, coding is based on mathematics, ones and zeros, and people really don't realize that, because it's just a phone and we're typing through it, but everything that goes behind the programming of your phone is mathematics. It's
Mm,
everything. It's a language of all subjects. It
mm,
really is the foundation of all subjects, and it's really a language that I'd encourage everyone to just familiarize themselves with. And I've seen that the more people tell themselves that they can't do maths, that's the more you can't do it, right? So I've gone through a stage in school where I thought I couldn't do something maths related. And then I really quickly realized that it was a mind thing. As soon as I start enjoying something, I start liking it. And maths is really it's like when you exercise your body, right? The more you exercise,
yes.
the fitter you get. And your brain works like that. The more you do, the better you get at it. And I'll give you an example
Mm,
of my grade 12 year. I did so many past paper books. I don't think there's I, I don't think there's a past paper book I didn't do in that year, and I did it everywhere. So my routine was I would do 5 questions a day, right?
mm,
In between my other studies and studying for everything else, I had a book and I took it with me everywhere, and I did 5 questions a day, no
mm,
compromise. But I realized that the more I did it, the first day was hard, the second day hard, and then as the time progressed, it got easier and easier. And by the time I got to the end of the year, it was so easy. And I remember the year when I wrote my final math paper, and I sat in that paper and I was laughing because I was like, I'd seen actually 99% of those questions in some way or another. And so,
ah,
and yeah,
preparation.
so that's the one thing that people, it's really like that. Your brain is like a muscle. The more you
Mm,
train it, the better you get. But there's a great future for mathematics, and I would say to people, don't disregard it because everything revolves around maths. Everything, and I think what COVID's done and the pandemic has shown is that if anyone has ever disregarded STEM, they just got a
mm,
huge wake up. And if it, you and no, the funny thing also about the fourth industrial revolution, everyone thought about the fourth industrial revolution, sorry, as something that was coming in the future. It's coming.
yeah,
And then the pandemic came, boom, the fourth industrial revolution was here, right? And it's
yeah.
actually the what I've been trying to say to everyone all the time. The fourth industrial revolution is here. It's been here last year. It's been here the year before. Right? But people
Mm,
seriously, right? And now that the pandemic's come into play, everyone's like, oh my word, oh, for the industrial revolution, we've got to work from home. Everything's so tech focused. We've got to do calls online. But it's always been like that. And people haven't
yeah.
embraced it as soon as much as or as fast as they should have, right? And I mean, don't take this wrong in any way, but I think what the pandemic has done
Mm,
for every single person, whether you're in business or corporate or anything like that, it's shown us that being comfortable is your worst enemy,
mm,
and that you should be
mm.
always to be innovative and changing, because the moment you're comfortable, then you've lost it all.
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, that's so true because I was chatting to my dad and he was saying he just hates the whole working from home and meetings on Zoom and this whole fourth industrial revolution talk is just, it's not for him. And I'm saying, look, but remember when we were ordering McDonald's on the screen and you weren't going to the actual teller to go order your McDonald's?
Yeah.
That was the fourth
It was
industrial revolution already happening.
Mhm. It was a
Exactly. And I mean, like it's been here. It's been here. And you're right, like we can't be comfortable. I work in marketing and I'm seeing how like brands don't know what to do because COVID has just shut down their campaigns. But I'm saying, wait, it's not supposed to shut down. It's supposed to let you take a minute and be like, wait, this is where you need to be creative now and be innovative right now. Um,
because
Anything you've
now,
done in the past, of course. Yes,
yes,
yes, yes, go for it, go.
now you have to meet the consumer where they are, right? So instead of now the
There
consumers
we
always
are.
coming into contact with the product or whatever it may be that you're marketing, now the product's actually got to meet the consumer where they are. So if you're trying to make me sell me a product, I'm at home sitting on my bed. So how are you
Mm.
going to sell that product to me? Because I'm not stepping out and going to interact with your product in an aisle or in a mall where you're like, oh, look at this.
Mm,
You want to try this out? It's not going to work that way anymore. And I
mm,
think what's been so amazing is last week, Facebook introducing that they're introducing a shopping platform on Facebook. But what they want to introduce in the future is AI, where you can shop for lipstick or sunglasses online, and you can actually literally try them on and think,
mm,
yeah, for me, now it actually saves me of going to a store and fitting on those sunglasses, right? Because with COVID and everything not not being able to touch our faces. Now you're thinking, oh, somebody put them on their face, not gonna put on my face, etc. So I think that's really been changing. And you working in marketing, you predict sales and you predict how the market's going to react to a certain product all the time. And that is all math, right? That's all math.
Yeah.
I come across people working on Excel every other day for work. And I'm like, do you know that that's math? So, Excel is built off the back end of mathematics. That's what it is, really.
Yeah.
It's what it is. And so whenever you have to predict anything, whether it be in any career, you are actually using maths. Every time you log onto Excel and whether you're just putting together your budget, that is maths. And that's why I think it's trying to have some foundation of maths, because we all have to get to a point where we're going to have to calculate something. We're going to have to calculate whether it's our budget. You're going to have to start questioning and scrutinizing your bank statements at some point. And some points when you grow up, you're going to get into a mortgage, right? And you have to start comparing interest rates. And, it's one thing because, so I personally I love a good bargain, and I will be at it till I get the least I can get, and I'll be back and forth with my financial management. No, you can go lower. Somebody else offered me lower. But see, mathematics gives you that power to know how does an interest rate affect you in the future. Interest rates or high interest doesn't necessarily mean that you're winning, right? Residual, buying a car off residual. Most people, it looks good now because, I'm buying a car and I'm paying much less for it now. But you don't know what really residual actually means. At the end of your payment term, you've got to pay a huge chunk, to own that car. Yeah. And if we don't get ourselves educated with the basic concepts of mathematics, we'll always fall short. And it's actually something for women as well. So many times women have left the decisions that come with money, with numbers, up to a man. Because males are good, males are generally good at numbers, so they say, which I don't believe in. We've always, women tend to always give that decision up to a male counterpart when it comes to numbers. Oh no, my partner does the budget, he does the books, he does our bank statements, he takes care of that, and I'm just like, but you should also know how much you have in the bank and how that money gets used, right? Because empowering yourself, you don't know what the future may lead to. Tomorrow you may wake up and something may have happened to that person. What happens then? Where does that leave you?
Yeah. This is so good. This is such a great conversation. So good. Yeah. So good. So as a woman in STEM, what inspires you?
For me, it's really having the ability to change the world. And that I've been given the tool and the knowledge and the experience to have a part to play in society to change the world. Because really, everything is STEM. And so for me, being a woman in STEM is a gift. It's a gift that I don't take for granted, because it's my duty then to change the world, to change the narrative, to open up more opportunities for people, for people of disadvantaged backgrounds or for other women. It really gives me that tool to change the world. And that's what it means every day. And so, and I think, I've always said to my friends, my other friends in STEM, and I've said, we really don't realize the power that we hold as women in STEM. We take it for granted that we hold so much power in our hands, but how we use it is what matters, and that's what's important, right? It's how we use it. And so for me, I don't take it for granted being in an industry that is male dominated. That as a woman, surely I'm here for a reason. It's surely so that I can take up space and I can ensure that other women take up space in this industry, and that women can really lead big STEM firms. The same way our male counterparts have been leading in STEM over the years, right? And it's really up to us to change the narrative. And I think for anything, a gift is never yours to keep, anyways. A gift is only for you to share with others.
Amazing. That's really, really great. So what is next for you? 2020, June is next week. We're halfway through the year. Plans may have changed, but what's next for you?
A lot, actually. Just before COVID started, I started a new business with my other business partners, a tech business called Redshift, and really it was really about creating technology solutions for the African market,
Mm,
right? It was really brought
mm,
about the fact that the African market, we really rely so much on the Western market for our tech solutions, right? Um, we
right.
communicate with Instagram, a Western solution. We're using Zoom,
Mm,
very Western as well. And so for me, and what I've realized is that while these solutions are all great, they also don't really
mm,
understand the market that we live in, and they don't understand the
mm,
environment that we live in, right? And so for me,
mm,
this is really why we started this business, is to really create tech solutions that speak to the African people, that speak to the African environment. And really that's
mm,
really, and that's why I'm excited about 2020, because in the past month, or how long have we
mm.
been in lockdown? 7 weeks? Um,
I
I've learned,
just can't.
I've lost count, I know. I've learned so much in these past seven
Mm,
weeks. And I've
mm,
also been able to see what I'm made up of. I don't, there's some things that I've
mm,
done in the past weeks, and I think, what? I can do that. I know how to do that.
mm.
But because remember, I was so comfortable doing what I was doing that I was good at it, right? And I never really quite pushed
Yeah.
myself to that point. And now I'm forced to push myself. So I'm like, I'm really coming out with some great ideas and some great skills that I didn't know I had in me. And so for me,
Mm,
I'm really excited about the next phase of my life. I'll say that the next phase of my life,
yeah.
because what it is that it allows me to even to serve my continent even further and even more, but in a
Mm,
way where I can give them technology which will empower them, and bearing
yes.
in mind just around all the solutions that we have right now. Everyone in South Africa, I mean the rest of the continent, complains about how data. This is an issue on the continent, right? But also because
Oof.
the solutions that we're using are not for us. So they went
Mm,
with us in mind. Instagram was designed for the Western world, where data and connectivity is really like water. It's
yeah.
something that
Quite literally.
it's easily available, it's readily available. And once then you come on here and you're like, oh, here's Instagram, and it's really, you find people saying, "Oh, I can only get on at a certain time on Instagram. I can only watch this live later, because it's just too much on
Mm,
data and my connectivity, stuff like that." And so for me, I think it's up to us Africans to create African solutions for our own people.
mm, Yo. Now, like off the back of that, and with your love for mathematics, um, what would be your message to somebody who is considering entering the maths field, or wants to pursue a business opportunity in that's got something to do with mathematics?
For me, I'd say that, you know what, they should go for it, whatever the
Mm,
case is, because you will have people who will talk you out of it. You will have
mm,
people who will tell you that it's not possible, or it's already been done, or it exists, or it can't be done. Not in this continent, not in this country. It won't work. Maybe somewhere
mm,
else. And so for me, I would say, when you have a burning dream inside of you, it's placed in there for a reason. And no one else can do it but you, right? And so
mm,
you're the only person who can make it happen. You know, and that's the one thing, is that there's only one of you and there's one of me, right? No one can replicate me and no one can replicate you. So if God has placed a vision in you for you to do something, then you need to go for it.
mm,
Nobody else can make you do it. And so many times we
mm,
sit on ideas, on great ideas, and we think, oh, they're not feasible. Then you wake up one day and somebody's done, you're like, oh man, I should have done it too. I was thinking of that. But who cares now? Because you were thinking of it, but you didn't do it, right? And you don't want to be that,
yeah.
you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that person who comes on and says, I was thinking about that in 2016, and now somebody's got it. People are thinking of stuff every single day. I promise you. People are thinking of stuff every
Mm,
single day. But you've got to have the courage to pursue that and make it happen. And yes,
mm,
you're going to fail. Yes, you may not get it right the first time around, but so what? I think so many times
mm,
people wait for perfection before you launch something, because I'm not ready. It's not
mm,
ready yet. I'm still working on it. But I promise you, between this time and when you want it to be ready, somebody else is already thinking of something similar. So I always say to somebody, start.
mm,
I don't care where you are, just start and you'll figure out the rest as you go along, because nothing's ever going to be perfect and ready for launching. So if you want to pursue a studies or career or business that's in math or maths related, really go for it. Go for it, and believe in it, and be committed. I think, once you decide to do something, be committed, because it's going to take a lot of commitment. And it's not going to be easy. And I think, if I haven't stressed this enough on this chat, I want to stress it again. It's not going to be easy. It's never easy. It wasn't easy for me to do what I do. It's not like I woke up and voila, one day I had all of this. This career has been 16 years in the making for me, even longer, in fact. I look back on when I was 7, and I sat down with my grandfather, who was an entrepreneur, and I helped him do the books, and he taught me how to do the books at 7. This has been me working as a 7-year-old girl, sitting on my grandfather's lap or sitting next to him and doing the books with him and learning what profit is and what capital is, because that little girl is this woman right now. She's put in the work, she's put in the hard work. So if you're willing to put in the hard work, then it's for you. Anything is easy than it's not for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if it was easy, we'd all do it. But there's a reason why it's hard. It's because those who really want it will do the utmost to ensure that they'll get it done and that they'll achieve what they want to achieve.
Right. And I think so many times what society's done is that it's always put a picture that you always find out about people when they've done well. No one ever, and I blame this already on just like on whether it be mass marketing, on just the way things are in this world, how that no one ever follows the journey of someone when they're just starting out and they're just figuring things out and they have nothing. Everyone wants to profile somebody who has made it big already. No one ever comes up to say to somebody, hey, I see that you've got this great idea. Can I document it, and can I walk the journey with you and document it? Everyone wants to really highlight the big story. And what happens for us, or for people on the outside, and for really the next generation, is that they look at it and they think, I can't do this. Batho seems to have had it all. She seems to have figured it out immediately. But this isn't it. That's not true. That's not true. It really takes hard work. And hard work should really be, I think it's about time that hard work should be popularized. We live in a generation in the microwave age where everyone wants to press 1 minute and have a product, and it doesn't work. Hard work is really looked down upon, because you have people who say, what's this? Work smart.
Yes.
Work smart. And whoever came up with that, I must tell you, was lying to you, because they worked hard before they started working smart. They only know how to work smart now because they had to work hard and pay their dues and really get down in the trenches before that. So for me, I always say to anyone who says to you, oh, hard work is overrated, they're lying. Hard work is everything. And it's about time we started preaching hard work. It's about time we started of those values of hard work to the next generation, because the generation that's coming up is going to think that everything's as easy as just pressing a button and then you've got a product. Or you go onto social media, and say, look at my scarf, then now I'm famous and now I'm making money. It doesn't work like that.
Wow, amazing. My last question for you is, looking back at your story from that girl who was 7 doing your grandfather's books to where you are now, what's the one lesson that will forever remain in you, and the lesson that you want to share with us that we can take away from this conversation?
Yeah, I actually get emotional about this because it's something I have a conversation with myself over and over again with. And for me, the one thing I'd say is that I wrote my own story. No one wrote my story for me. I wrote my own story when everyone expected me to walk out with a cushy maths degree and go into a top-notch job in corporate. I said no, and I said I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I spent 4 or 5 years really of my career just really struggling just to make my business work. Really, basically actually living from one client to another, right? But I wouldn't change that for anything in the world, because it's because of that that I'm the woman that I am today, right? It's because of that that today
Mm,
I really live the life of my dreams. I really live the life that I've scripted for myself. My life is not anything that anyone would have scripted. Not even my parents, not even my mom.
mm,
And if I were to, I mean, she rolls her eyes at me saying this. She's like, because it's true.
mhm,
Everything that any other thing that she would have thought for me, I didn't do it, but I've still
mhm,
managed to make her proud, because I showed her that I could do things my way and it could be okay.
mhm,
And so I'd say to anyone really is that, this is your life and your story too, right? Do not give that power away to anyone else. And
mhm,
do not also doubt your own story. And don't look at
mhm,
somebody else's life, look at my life and think, oh my word, she looks so good. She looks like she's got it all together. I would live a life like that. I don't have it all together. Every day is a journey, and every day
mhm,
is I'm learning something from my life. I joked before I got
mhm.
into the school with Sam, and I said, oh my word, I finally got out of my tracks today for you guys. And I put on my hair for you guys today, because it's not how it is every day. It's not how it is every day.
Mhm,
It isn't, and
mhm,
we don't want to portray it that way, right? But it's your responsibility. This is your life. And people need to
mhm,
realize that this is your life. You've got the power to change
mhm,
anything in your life that you don't like, to
mhm,
omit anything in your life that you don't want to have in your life, to
mhm,
keep anything in your life that you want to keep in your life because it's serving you. And if
mhm,
anything is not serving you, then your responsibility is to get rid of it. It's no one else's
mhm.
responsibility. One day you're going to be 60 or 70 or 80, and you're going to look back on your life, and you don't want to look back on your life with any regrets. And you don't want to look
Yeah.
and say, oh, I spent the first 50 years of my life trying to please whoever I had to please, or being in a dead end job that really didn't fulfill me, right? And that's not what, because
Mhm,
you really owe it to yourself to live your own life. And so for me,
mhm,
when I look at that 7-year-old little girl, sitting there with her grandfather, who had big dreams to travel the world and to do things, and she was laughed on a lot by other people and other
mhm,
stories.
mhm.
Scary, but she did it her own way. And now she can finally look back at her life, and she can really sit there with such pride and joy in her heart.
Yeah. 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 Oh my gosh. Where are the tissues? That was amazing. I definitely am taking that with me. Because even me, I resonate with a story like that so much. It's just like being so young and dreaming so big, and my journey is just taking me elsewhere. But you are right. I am the author of my own story. No one's gonna write it for me but me, and it's up to me to ensure that every single day I'm adding those few pages to my story. And thank you for this conversation. You have inspired me. I know you have inspired somebody who was watching today. Um, wow, it was amazing just to chat with you like this. And I genuinely wish you all the success with everything that you do. You are phenomenal. If no one's told you today or yesterday, let me tell you, you are phenomenal. And thank you for joining us today on this convo.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. And I've been seeing all the messages pop up. Thank you so much to everyone just giving the love. And I think for my parting words to everyone is, just never forget to live a purpose driven life. A life
Mm,
with no purpose is not worth living.
mm. Thank you. Thank you. On that note, like I don't know how to top that. You have dropped the mic for us. Mbatho, thank you. Have a fantastic day. Stay warm, stay safe, and we shall see you flourishing and doing the things for us in the very near future. I know we will.
Thank you so much. Mwah. All my love to you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.